Well, thank you. If you're just joining us, welcome. On this last lap today, it's Friday. Every Friday, we have a partnership with the Wole Center for Investigative Journalism, and we take a look at stories done by female journalists on the Female Reporters Leadership Program. Today, we're looking at a story done by Juliana Ebere Francis, who writes for the New Telegraph, and she did a fantastic story in three parts, a three-part story. Looking at the menace of human trafficking, a very touchy story which you can find and read on the website of the New Telegraph or also of the Wole Center, the Reports Women Network website. You can find that story there. Today we'll be looking at human trafficking as a whole and how it affects you, why young women, of course also men, still fall victim of this menace. Her story is titled Dealing with the Menace of Human Trafficking and Human Part Harvesting. That's the show today. I am Wemimo Adewuni.
I am Sheriff Quadry. Let's remind you that all our platforms are open to you. You can drop your comments there and your contribution as well. If you have gone through it before, we would like to hear your experience. If you've been trafficked before, if you've been approached about organ harvesting, organ trading, please. We would like to hear your thoughts as well. So it promises to be interesting from now till about 9. We'll be having this discussion in the studio here and with you as well, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. Mrs. Morenike Omaiboje is the Director of Programs Women Consortium of Nigeria, Woken. Mrs. Morenike, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Sheriff.
And we have Rotimi Sankore still here in the studio. Rotimi, thank you for still here.
Morning.
We're expecting to be joined in the studio by Juliana Ebere Francis, who did this story. And on the line, we also will be speaking with Dr. Franca Atta. She's the Associate Professor, Department of Sociology, University of Lagos. She'll be shedding more light from the academic point of view as to the mindset of people and what is driving young people into this direction. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. We're live on Facebook, also on YouTube. You can watch us there and also leave us your comment on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. They're also streaming live on our website, nigeriainfo.fm. Let's tell you that the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime considers human trafficking to be modern day slavery, where many children and women are forcefully or fraudulently recruited, transported, and harbored for sexual or labor exploitation. The victims of human trafficking are usually made to provide sex under threats and without consent.
Right.
They are also used as laborers to work in fields and fisheries, household chores, or as domestic help. According to a report in 2018 by the UNODC, the most common form of human trafficking is sexual exploitation at 79%, followed by forced labor at 18%. And this may be as a result of misrepresentation, as forced labor usually is less frequently detected or reported as trafficking as much as sexual exploitation is. The victims of sexual exploitation are usually predominantly women and girls. And according to data from the UN, 51% of victims are women, while another 20% are girls, accounting for 71% of victims. Human trafficking simply might mean moving people from one part of the world to another, or a state or country. But most exploitation sometimes take place at home. And so there's intra-regional trafficking, domestic trafficking. There are so many forms of trafficking. As of 2017 September, the International Labour Organization estimated that 24.9 million men, women, and children were victims of human trafficking across the globe.
Indeed.
That's massive data.
Indeed.
Right
It is huge. And Research Survey has admitted that the business of human trafficking is regarded as a $150 billion global industry. That is how big, how huge this is. Now, in fact, 2/3 of this figure, that's about $99 billion, is generated from commercial sexual exploitation, while another $51 billion results from forced economic exploitation, including domestic work, agriculture, and other economic activities. And research findings conducted by the Global Survey Index in July last year, 2018, indicates that there are about 40.3 million victims of modern slavery worldwide. However, 71% of these trafficked persons are women and girls, while 25% are children. That's how bad it is.
Right, you're welcome to the show. This story in 3 parts, like we told you, is up online. You can go read about it. It's about human trafficking and human body part harvesting. I guess that part really got me thinking. Juliana joins us in the studio. Juliana Iberi Francis wrote that story for the New Telegraph, and she's here with us. Do tell us what inspired this story that you did, and what did you find out in your report? What did you find out in your report?
Well, everything I found out has been written about it by me. I started the story I was trying to do a story about women that were trafficked to the Middle East.
Okay.
Before it was all about Italy. But suddenly it turned out to be the new attraction was Middle East. So I wanted to do something about Middle East, and it was basically Oman. Before I even discovered that they were equally going to Saudi Arabia. But in the course of doing the story, stories sometimes tend to have a life of their own.
Yeah.
So while I was doing the story, talking to people, talking to victims who have gone and come back. First, one of them was a boss. She came back mentally deranged up to now.
Wow.
And that is why, because of her condition, up to now, NAPTIP could not arrest anybody because she's psychotic. She was tied and brought back. She was a Christian. When she got there, they converted her to a Muslim. So, but in the course of doing that story, while I was trying to talk to a NAPTIP official off record, he told me that Middle East was not just the major issue for them now, that body parts were harvesting has become the issue.
Organ harvesting.
Organ harvesting has become an issue that we are struggling with. You know, I asked him if they've had victims. He said yes, like 2 from India. So
in your report, you interviewed a lot of people, and a part struck me, where you asked someone how they realized that their organs were harvested, and some of them said they were knocked out.
Yes.
And by the time they woke up, they just saw they had surgery marks on their belly. Question is, how did they get to meet those people? What kind of conversation did they have? I mean, what relationship transpired between them and these traffickers?
Trafficking is all about luring people, deceiving people, deceit. There's a job somewhere, there's something happening somewhere. Before, you have agents everywhere. Now the agents are online.
Oh.
Yeah, they are online. They place social media fantastic job offers, and when you go there, there's an agent waiting already to link you up to the supposed job. And that person could be the person that's going to drug you and take your organ. Because most time they wake up and they're on the streets.
Oh.
Yeah. So the next thing you do is start looking for the embassy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mrs. Morenike, let's come to you. I can see that you're quite emotional about this. This is big. This is a big business. Let's start from the basics. Why do you think people are desperate to leave the shores of Nigeria in search of greener pastures?
Well, the reasons are obvious, very obvious all around us. But top on the list is ignorance. You'll be surprised it's not even poverty anymore, because people believe the grass is greener on the other side. People believe that, the end to their problems of unemployment and lack of enough funds to move about in Nigeria, the result will be, or the solution will be, to go abroad. And they feel that people who live abroad, are people who have made it, and then there's probably there are dollars all over the street. Because when they come back, we rescue and rehabilitate, and when they come back, that's what we hear, that's what we see. So you will know that you can't really say it's poverty alone. There are so many other issues surrounding it, Of course, poverty is also there. Of course, lack of exposure is there. Of course, illiteracy is there, because the category of people who go, when they come back, you'll be wondering, I mean, how did they even get, to cross the shores of
Right,
Nigeria
right,
to start
right,
with?
right.
So, I mean, the emotional part of it is the fact that a lot of awareness raising is being done. For example, what Juliana just did is nothing but awareness raising, because that's what it's supposed to do. But in their millions, in their hundreds and thousands.
In your line
you
of
see
work, what
that.
are the stories that you've heard? Just share a few of the stories that you've heard personally.
Well, dozens and dozens of stories. Okay, there was a young lady, sometimes a young girl, for example. Sometimes the traffickers are their parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Wow.
the parent is looking for money. There's no money to eat. The things that happen in some of the states we know in Nigeria, where even the father will say, "Can't you see the house that she built for her dad?" And
Right.
daughter would tell dad, but she's
Like-
engaged in prostitution, and dad says, "What's wrong with that?" What's wrong with that? Every woman is a prostitute as far as they're concerned. So you go out there and
do the same and just make the money.
Yes. So there was this girl. She was 14, and her parents connived with the trafficker. The trafficker approached them, and then this young girl was sent to Mali. And they told her she was going to get education. She wanted to continue her education, and the mother and the father said, "Well, let's her go and do it as long as we can have money." Cutting long story short, the first night she was injected, her clothes were changed when she arrived, and a girl who's never known a man, 22 men came that night.
Oh, my word.
Second night, 18 men came. Third night, about another 20-something men came. So by the end of the third night, she ran mad.
Oh, dear.
So she ran out of that place naked and was walking down into a forest. She walked for hours. She didn't know what she was doing, and she was naked. Walked for hours and until she met someone who now connected her to us and our partners in Lagos. We have so many such stories. There had been a case of a woman who had 5 children, and she was a hairdresser, and they would ask her questions like, how much money do you actually make? And she says, 17,000-80,000 I can make in a month. Oh, if you come to Italy, if you come to Spain or Netherlands or wherever they take them now, you make 250,000. We'll get you a good job. You'll be working in a hotel
And sending some money back home.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, she leaves her family and she goes only to find that she's been forced into prostitution.
One thing that was also striking in Juliana's reports is that there were documents to this trafficking. So for some of them, these agents provided job offers and even offered them an amount. So there was a document that had an address of the company they were meant to work for when they got to Oman. And some of them were even offered as low as 60,000 naira.
Yeah.
In that report. And the woman was quite excited about 60,000 naira. And here I was thinking, you want to travel from here to a place you don't know for 60,000 naira in a month. They were also told they'll be having work breaks. So you have some days to work on and off. But this was slavery, Juliana. And according to your report, some of them were made to work about 20 hours out of 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's right.
Woken up at 4 a.m.
That's
They
right.
sleep at 12 and then they're woken at 4.
And they were forced to
And they were
convert to
forced,
Islam.
they were
Yeah.
beaten. You had one of those stories where one was
And it's
beaten.
still going on.
And it's still going on now.
Yeah.
So how do people then confirm? So if someone comes to me and says, here's a job offer, I mean, I see a letter, this is where ignorance comes in. And then these travel agents also process their visas.
They take care of everything.
They take care of everything. It looks
And
real.
yeah, too real.
What we try to do in our awareness reason is to let them know the signs. So we tell them the warning signs.
Indicators.
We go to market places, we go to public places regularly. We wear our t-shirts, take our face cap, and then our megaphone, and then we, kind of just make noise all over the place and stop to talk to young people.
What are these warning signs?
Okay, first of all, if you want to go somewhere and you don't know the kind of work you are going to do, it's typical most of the time. What work? Or any of the jobs you want. Oh, you can do this, you can be a house help, you can be this, you can be that. Nothing particular. And then And then they would also tell you to tell lies at the embassy or at the entrance, at the gates, so to say. So if you are going by road to Mali or to any of those African countries, for example, there's been an upsurge of us returning Nigerian girls home from Ghana. In the last 6 months, majority of the girls we have returned from the West Coast have been from Ghana. And I read it this week that Ghana is saying they're tired of Nigerian girls prostituted in Ghana.
Yes.
So another thing is that they tell you to tell a lie, like I said. Another thing is they won't give you your passport until
Right.
the day you are going.
Oh
because they've spent so much money.
They want to be
get
sure
you
you won't
want
run
to
away.
Yes, you won't run away. So there are already some slavery signs there that people don't see. They're in our office regularly where we do our vernacular awareness on some radios, in Lagos,
Right.
where you can speak in vernacular. And they call us all of the time and even visit us with those stories. So we tell them about that fact, about this one.
Rotimi, multi-billion-dollar business, human trafficking, organ harvesting is gradually taking over. Where do the policymakers coming in this instance? Where have we failed to look at those? We have NAPTIP, for instance, and
NAPTIP is working pretty hard.
and if you
but it's
approach
not enough.
NAPTIP, they will tell you that they get reports every day and they are moving people out of those countries every day. It was just a couple of days ago that we got news about over not less than 10,000 Nigerian girls trapped in Burkina Faso mining camps and otherwhere prostituting away.
About 20,000 in Mali and so forth.
It's just...
So it's important to scale so that we have a good grasp of what is happening. So one, this is now happening at an industrial scale. So it's not isolated cases of 5, 10. This is industrial
big.
scale. Yes, this is industrial scale organized crime. And once it is organized like that, what it means is that it's not just the criminal cartel, but it also involves officials in certain countries. Because that is how you move the girls, especially
Octopus.
across borders
Right.
and to different places. So this is the kind of thing now that really, first of all, the Nigerian government has to make a formal request, one, through Interpol, and two, through the embassies of all these countries. Look, there is no way you can have 5, 10, 15, 20,000 girls or women
How?
from another country in your country, and
you
the
will not
people
know.
in those countries are not paying proper attention to what is happening. So, just like we've seen with a lot of global things, our government has to make a proper formal request and say, we want to understand how the girls got there. We need to block the channels that make it possible for cartels that span Nigeria and your countries. As Madam was saying, these 18, the 22, 30 men in a day or a night forced on these poor girls translates into money.
Yeah.
It translates into sometimes up to 60,000 euros a year. So this crime is only next to drug trafficking now in terms of scale. So unless it is tackled in that same way, it's not going to be possible to come to grips with it. There is a small element that was mentioned about, and I know many people, it's a big trigger that some of the women trafficked
Right.
were forcibly converted in some of these countries. So it is important to note because it violates rights. But that's not the most important thing. The girls trafficked to Italy and other countries, they are Christians, and they were not converted into Christianity. The main point is the sexual exploitation, the criminality, the organ harvesting, the slavery in the household, restriction of movement, beating, and a whole lot of things. I think it's that big approach that we really need to take. But the underlying point there is that many people, both the cartel and even some of the government people, they regard women as commodities.
Yeah.
And that is where we need to change that mindset, that women are equal human beings with men.
All right, let's go on a very quick break. The phone lines are buzzing, but we'll come back in a moment. We're due for a break. We're live on Facebook. We're also on YouTube at Nigeria Info FM. You can watch us live there anywhere you are. You can also listen on our website, nigeriainfo.fm. We see your comments also on WhatsApp. The number is 08095975805. We're looking at a story done by Juliana Ebere Francis of the New Telegraph, dealing with the menace of human trafficking and human body part harvesting. You can see that story online. We have in the studio Mrs. Morenike Omaiboje, Director of Programs, Women Consortium of Nigeria, also called WOCON. We also have Rotimi Sankore here with us in the studio. We'll be back just in a moment. Stay with us and we'll take your comments on this conversation. I am Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
Yes, this is the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And we're looking at a story done by Juliana Iberi Francis of the New Telegraph. She x-rayed in 3 parts a story focusing on human trafficking and human body part harvesting. You can find that story online and you can look through that story. But we've highlighted the important part of that story. But Mrs. Morenike Omaiboje had to leave us. She has an engagement for 9. Rotimi Sankore also has excused himself, both of them. But we have Juliana here and she'll be engaging with you on this story. We'd also take a comment on Facebook, YouTube, and also Twitter, all at Nigeria Info FM. Our WhatsApp number is 08095 975805, 08095 975805. A comment from WhatsApp from Shegun here says, Wemimo and Sheriff, good morning. Good job. Thank you. Churches and mosques could also be used as platforms to highlight dangers of trafficking. True there. Also here, Oladele Mike from Agbara says, well, it's high time people stopped traveling at all costs. Also, government should make our country conducive and liaise with countries where human trafficking is high to stem the tide. Nigerians are becoming nuisances all over. It hurts a lot to listen to this. Juliana, I've also done a story on human trafficking, so I know this firsthand. I was almost crying when I did this story. When she strayed a journey, she even went to Libya by road, and some of the ladies died. The way about
Sometimes
30 girls packed
drink
into on that journey. But and coincidentally, right after I did that story, I met a young man who told me he wanted to travel and who was sure that he was going to. Someone met him in a bus and then says he liked him and there's a job offer in Europe and he should take this job. One thing the NAPTIP boss then said to me was, there is no free lunch in Freetown. However, Nigerians think, it must be my prayers being answered.
Right.
I've been praying and here's a free offer. I just have to jump at it. Again, we highlighted that NAPTIP is doing a lot of work, but it is not enough, Julian.
Yeah, it's not really enough. When NAPTIP started, Carol Daguba was then the chairperson, and they had lots of fundings from international organization, federal government. They were just like performing magic. They were going outside the different states to carry out investigations. They had massive support, and you could see even in the media the stories were everywhere.
Right.
And when Karen Daguba was there three times in the international index rating, Nigeria was first year 3 times.
In dealing with human trafficking.
Yes, that means the tier shows that we are up there, we are really fighting. Now, what are we doing? Yeah, after Ndagubula left, Simon Egede came. Nothing was happening anymore.
Why is nothing happening anymore?
I tried to ask why. Even because I was covering that bit, I noticed that things were not just working. So I asked. People were just loafing around doing absolutely nothing. And now I have to ask, are you people no longer doing investigations? Where are the victims before you will see them? And they said no funding.
So NAPTIP has a funding problem.
Yeah. Then after Simon left, Beatrice came in and still nothing. But I think this Julie Okan is really pulling her weight. Actually. Yeah, I think she reminds me a lot of Ndaguba. But I don't know if the funding has started coming. I'm not seeing too much training. I'm not seeing too much awareness programs. But I think she's really up and doing. The other two, we are just too
before the break, Rotimi mentioned something about federal government working hand in hand with the Interpol and other foreign governments, and he emphasized that you cannot have such an amount of girls, underage girls, even overage girls in your country doing the business of sex worker, and you would not notice that they are not from your country. That if we collaborate more on government to government level, perhaps the story might be different.
Yeah, I want to believe that they do collaborate. I know because I've attended so many trainings done by NAPTIP where I see foreigners. Some of them are even part of the sponsors. But I want you to know something. I did a story on some girls that came back from Libya. Okay. In fact, few days after one of them spoke, she died.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
They were kept underground.
Oh, my.
They were kept underground. Some as young as 13, some as young as 12. And they had a particular girl, the one that later died. She was trafficked purposely to come and be carrying out abortion for them.
She was a nurse while she was here.
Yeah. You read the story?
Yes, I read all the stories.
And she died. She said that she was placed under a curse and she believed she was going to die. But they were locked up and people didn't know those girls were underground.
So the issue with that nurse, what jumped at me is this was a trained nurse in Nigeria. So this is not just for those who don't have jobs. Some people have jobs and you're promised a better offer elsewhere. And there were documents. according to your reports, I mean, some of them had employment letters handed over to them. The only odd thing was they weren't paying for their transportation and flight, and
That's
they were
a red
told
flag right there.
you'll be remitting your salary for the next 6 months,
6 months.
to cover up for the cost.
You
For the
just feel like,
expenses.
what?
So-
I will make more money
After
That's-
6 months.
Yeah.
So again, that might not be exactly red flag. I'm sorry to have caught you, because if they're telling you that we are loaning you these expenses, you pay back in 6 months. So eventually, you're still going to pay back that
But
money.
why should anyone loan you money for
Crying
to-
out
for you
loud.
to get
Say
a job?
Say it again. Omimo. There's no free words.
There's no free lunch and free town.
Exactly.
In fact,
So
that is
that's
how
a
I
red
opened
flag.
that my report. There is no free lunch.
That's
Are
a
you
red
the
flag.
person's family member? Why do they like you so much?
You know, when the woman that left was talking, she said illiteracy. I've discovered that people that are being trafficked to Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Oman, they are graduates. Graduates, they should know better. They should know.
You
They
even
know.
highlighted in your story that this girl was a graduate and her employers
Exactly.
were celebrating that they had a maid who was a graduate because
Right.
they didn't go to school.
Yeah. So it's not beyond illiteracy. I want to believe it's more government policies, insecurity, no job. And mind you, between the last 4 or 5 years, we have more people young people leaving Nigeria in search of greener pastures. Even they are ready to leave. They always believe that my story is going to be different from the next guy that died.
I'll be more
let's talk about
fortunate.
let's talk about organ harvesting. I mean, we've talked about trafficking for a while. Let's focus on organ, harvesting. People are told that you just sell your kidney, or sell part of your lung, or just small part of your liver. Don't worry, it will regrow. It will regrow.
can-
Just,
When you put
know,
it-
it will do that. And Nigerians, able-bodied Nigerians, just try online and put that out. You'll see people willing to do that. Are we calling that ignorance?
It's not ignorance. Just, I think so many young people are doing it. They will just, I want to go to Malaysia to sell one of my kidney. Like it's a normal
It's
thing.
a normal
now.
thing.
So, but now, there's a difference here. You are going to sell. Use your right to do
Willingly.
willingly. But somebody that is being trafficked, it's not his wish. It's not her wish. That is where the law comes in now.
Right.
That's plain deceit. That's plain human trafficking. If you want to go and sell your kidney, that's your own problem. But you don't have to sell mine without my consent.
That's right. Let's
So
talk about deterrence here. Again, NAPTIP is doing a lot of work. I know this because I speak with them quite often. They try, but you've highlighted issues of funding. But for those who have been arrested, we still don't have an offenders register, and where, their names are displayed. So, many of them are in Nigeria and they continually do these businesses. Some of them even couples who recruit these ladies on behalf of these persons in other countries. So do we have strong deterrence for those who are caught or those who might attempt to traffic people?
I think the only deterrence I see right now that NAPTIP is using is the courts. And I think that's a basic and major issue right there. They have a series of cases pending
In court.
in court. And another major issue is most victims don't want to talk. So that means the
There's no
trafficker
case.
is there's no case. And I don't know, maybe because I'm a Christian, I really don't believe in the oath taking, but they seriously believe in it.
Yes.
And somebody actually told me that it works, but I don't know. But when you believe in that kind of oath taking, that if you spill the beans and something is going to happen to you, you wouldn't want to testify against your trafficker.
Juliana, we'll go to the phone lines in a bit because we will particularly want to hear from people that have gone through this before, or someone who had gone through this before. How about organ harvesting? Have you been told, have you been introduced into it before? We would like to hear from you. When we come back because we need to announce the phone numbers, right? So when we do that and take a few calls, I would like us to talk about the agents of these traffickers in Nigeria. Because I read in your story about some certain names that you mentioned are agents who will take care of your visas and your traveling documents. The Shade, or what's her name, story that you did, that when she became insane, that Abosede and the family, they contacted the family, the agent in Oman contacted the family to send money to bring her back home. And the family ran around and sent the money to the agent here in Nigeria. The name of the agent is in your story. And the agent in Nigeria supposedly sent the money to the agent in Oman. And then the excuse came up that Abosede was too violent to come on the plane. But eventually she made it home. So that means they are not faceless. We have these agents in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Why is it difficult for us to go after them? Why? Let's announce the numbers first, and we'll try and attempt to answer that question. Here are the numbers you can call if you want to be a part of the program this morning.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
This is Nigeria. We are listening. Nigeria Info. Human trafficking is regarded as a $150 billion global industry. And in fact, 2/3 of this figure is generated from commercial sex exploitation, while another $51 billion result from forced economic exploitation. And also, according to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, in 2018, they got involved in a total of 1,076 human trafficking and other related cases. 206 of these were fully investigated. Findings also reveal that 1,173 victims were rescued, and of these, 1,099 were Nigerians. Edo State had the most shares with 143 victims. Kano had 123. Benue had 106. 64 victims of human trafficking were also nationals of other countries. Benin Republic had 27, Ghana 19. And of all the court cases, only 31 were won in 2018.
Just hold on a bit. Let's take this call from United Arab Emirates. Oshaya is calling us from the UAE. Hello, good morning, good day to you.
Good morning. My name is Osai. I'm calling from Abu Dhabi.
Welcome. Good to have you, Jonas.
Yeah, I'm watching your program and I needed to speak about this scenario you are talking about.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I spent 11 years in the Middle East on two different things. The issue of your employer in the Middle East sending you tickets, visa and all that, it's the normal process.
Oh, okay.
When you get a job in the Middle East countries, the employer processes your visa for you, sends you tickets. You don't pay for any of those.
But do they ask you to then pay it back with your 6-month salary?
Usually not. That's where the agents are the ones that does that. In Nigeria, the agent exploits this process because the people back home are not really aware. So they even make deals with your employer, with some private employers, to even deduct salaries and pay them. Sometimes they negotiate to take out of some people's salaries even before they resume. So by the time the person resumes working, either part of the person's salary or some agreed portion is being paid to the agent. And the person never gets the full salary that was supposed to be paid. I may not even really know. So the agents in Nigeria are the ones who exploit these things.
Just to be clear, you're saying that even for legitimate jobs, this happens.
Yes.
Maybe not all the time, but for some job. What kind of job are you doing in Abu Dhabi and how did you get there?
I'm in healthcare.
How did you get there?
It was a Nigerian colleague who worked for the company here that came to Nigeria to recruit for the company. They sent to recruit Nigerians in the profession.
And you verified the company, yes.
Yes, I've known about the company. I even checked online. That particular colleague, when he said profession, it is senior colleague.
Okay.
So at the same time, I called other colleagues who were already here and working for that company. So I did my other research and confirmed they were genuine.
All right, Sai.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. Olive is on the line from Aja.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm happy to hear you. I'm first time on the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you join us.
Okay, a very interesting topic there. I'm just thinking. There is this one, another version of it. You still have, in quote, what do you call it? Something trafficking. What do you call it?
Organ harvesting, human
No,
trafficking.
the other
Which
one? Child trafficking. What do you call it now?
Child
Child
trafficking.
trafficking.
Child trafficking. There's another pattern of it happening within the country.
Yes,
And
that's
as
the
I'm talking to you,
intra-regional.
Yes, I know of a woman who will always go down to the east there, move young ladies, put them to prostitution. She's old, she's a prostitute herself, and she's no longer really into the business, maybe because of her age. So she mobilized those underage people and she'll be extorting money from them.
You
that kind of
know
thing.
this person?
I know, and I'm ready to leak anybody
Please,
who wants us to fight it.
the thing to do right now, I'll advise, because I can't get to your NAPTIP number off my head, but you can call 112 if you're in Lagos, and they'll link you up with NAPTIP.
111?
112. 112.
Is that all right?
Yes, make that complaint. They'll give you the right channels to complain to. Please complain about it.
It's
Okay.
all right, because I find it so crazy. Like,
Right.
It
It is.
Kenneth,
Thank you so
Olivia,
much for calling.
Thank you. Kenneth is here from K2. Kenneth, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to Wemimo and your guest today, Mr. Rotimi Sankore.
Good morning.
Yes, my point exactly is that there are three. The first one is that I think the government should do enough to sensitize the public. Sensitize them such that they will inform the public, let the public know that if there is such thing like anybody trying to travel via any agent, there should be a body established to investigate such agents.
Actually, if someone reaches out to you, you can verify with NAPTIP. NAPTIP usually verifies those, if you're not sure.
Like for me, I'm not even aware of this. I don't even know. Do you understand? There should be no sensitization. NAPTIP, for instance, I'm hearing it for the first time.
Wow.
Do you understand? A lot of us, a whole lot, I'm a graduate, but a whole lot of us do not even know this.
Wow.
That is one. Secondly, there should be a way to inculcate it in the curriculum. Like students
In
growing up, for
schools.
instance, primary school, secondary school, they should be informed.
Yes.
They should
Absolutely.
have, at least, do you understand? Let's have, just for us to be guided.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
All right,
Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
program. you are
Thank
doing.
you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Let's head over to WhatsApp.
Hold on a bit. Hold on. Ngozi has been on the line for a while. Ngozi, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm calling you from Irakare State.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the topic you are discussing this morning is really a touching one. I think probably 15 years back, either 10 or 15 years back, I met a lady somewhere in Lagos here. Then she was preparing to travel to, I think, Russia. Then we tried to talk to her. She was very young then, I think around 14, 15 years. We tried to talk her out of traveling. She refused. I think eventually she went to Russia. After many years, she came back to Nigeria empty-handed.
Oh, goodness.
And when she narrated her story and what goes on in that country, I weep for Nigerians. And she was telling me how many Nigerian ladies are trapped there, that they cannot even come back.
Wow.
She was able to come back because luckily for her, she got married to a Cameroonian, and the guy sent her back to Cameroon. That was how she came back. So this thing is really, and the government officials are aware, because she keeps telling me in Russia there that even the government officials, the law enforcement, that sometimes they sleep with them. So all these things are going on, and all these people just keep quiet.
Well, thank you for sharing
Ngozi,
this. Thank you for sharing this with us. Let's head over to Twitter. Joy Forever says, human trafficking is a racket involving highly placed people from country to country. Middle East is a hub now. Jobs offer are used as trap. Our economy is also not helping. People sell organs. I hope the government will step up. On WhatsApp, Oladele Mike from Agbara here says, well, it's high time people stopped traveling at all costs. Okay, I think I read that earlier. Judge Ejetavo from Delta State says, everything rests on greed and get rich quick mentality, which pushes these uninformed Nigerians to being trafficked. The root cause is, of course, our politicians and their display of wealth and stolen resources without the proportional investment on the citizens. Okay, thank you. Also here, Oliver from Ikeja says this topic is very sensitive. I feel the government and top private sectors should set up a way or a committee to help preach against human trafficking in churches and schools.
Let's take this one. Facebook, Akaka Eric on Facebook said, I applaud Julie for putting up this story. It is indeed a pathetic one. While praying for God to fix our country, I would crave the indulgence of the media and all relevant groups to create awareness in the cities, villages, and hamlets. Eric, thank you. Moscow Bean on Facebook said, Nigeria Info, in the case of human trafficking, I know someone who is about to be sent to send her sexual purpose. Okay. The problem is that the victims agreed and are willing to go.
So some people agree to go. If you consent, does consent make it better?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make it better.
It doesn't. I know that some parents they do traffic their girls. I remember a story I did. The girl's name Ogogo. Yeah, Ogogo, and she was rescued from a hotel where she was lodged in Lagos, waiting to be transferred, to be moved to Europe, and it was her mom. And it was very simple. When the mom was arrested and interviewed her, and she told me that she married a man who has many wives, and each of the women had to take care of their children themselves. Ogogo was her first daughter, and she just called Ogogo, sat her and told her that, look, you have to go and do prostitution
to take care of your siblings.
Take care of your siblings.
So family planning is also important. Don't have too many children.
Ogogo was not up to 18, so
no, she can't give consent.
Yes, even if she can, your mom is a criminal offense, I think.
It is.
Yeah. Even for the girl, I'm saying even the girl herself giving consent does not make it right. Someone walking up to you.
She didn't say anything wrong with you when I spoke with her. I mean, my
mom
said
that she was just willing to do anything for the family.
Yes.
Let's get back to the phones and squeeze in more calls. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Put off your... Oh, goodness. You would have to please call us back. Okay, and put off your radio.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Popola Williams.
Welcome, Popola.
Good morning to everybody in the studio.
Morning.
This topic this morning is beyond what you call ignorant or whatever one.
Or poverty.
You see, how can somebody raise up to 1 million, 1 or something million in Nigeria and go to leave Nigeria to go and live elsewhere? And you say Nigeria is bad.
Your line is very poor.
Popola,
I'm so sorry.
We're losing you.
You're making a fantastic point, but
really
your line is poor. And he's talking about people raising money to travel. The lady I interviewed
because that
spent about 1.5 million naira. A family raised 1.5 million naira for her to travel.
Nkem from Ilupeju. Nkem, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
This is a wonderful program.
Thank you.
There's even another strategy that these guys are actually using to adopt some of these people they traffic. There's a very big cartel right now set up by some Igbo guys living in Malaysia and in some parts of Asia. And these guys are dealing heavily in human organs. Now, what they do basically is they have their allies in Nigeria who go to these remote and rural areas trying to marry off underage girls or teenagers. So once they arrive in very big ways, flaunt their big vehicles, pay dowries, and promise their parents are going to take their daughters to US, take them to Canada, and put them in schools. So this thing is a thriving business for many people. In fact, I know a couple of guys that are in this business.
Wow, you do.
There's also another thing I want to say. There's something I keep saying, like when people talk about financial inclusion, I say, look, we shouldn't be talking about financial inclusion in Lagos. Human trafficking should not be discussed in Lagos. Human trafficking should be discussed in the remote and rural areas. Some of the victims are people from the remote and rural areas.
Right, that's right.
The NAPTIP have to move to these places and inform them.
And thank you for calling.
Thank you very much. Let's take a final call from Sam on our way out. Sam, good morning.
Good morning.
Please take 30 seconds. We're on our way out. Thanks for joining us.
I'm surprised that if many things happen, somebody was saying he's a graduate and I never knew of NAPTIP in this country or this world. I can't believe that. That's why people are saying most of our school guys are not employable. How can you be in this country and say
Well, he might not know, and he was truthful by saying he didn't know.
I'm just using that as an example. So many things happen. Something happened 2 weeks ago, and I was shocked that somebody on this age of information, even if you don't have a phone call, an organization did verification since early last year. And somebody is telling me this year that he has never heard of it. When these people have started collecting their monthly pension or whatever.
Right. Thank you so much, Sam, for highlighting that. It just shows us that a lot more work needs to be done in terms of enlightenment across the country. Well, you have heard it. Spread the word around. If it looks too good to be true, it's most likely
not true.
Not true.
If you're a parent, talk to other parents.
That's
if you're a young person, talk to other young person. That's the more effective way to spread this message so we can all be aware of the predators out there.
That's right. If you're not sure, ask questions, okay? Go over to NAPTIP and say, this person is trying to help me travel. Can you check this person out for me? If you don't know how to reach NAPTIP, call 112 and ask all the questions. Juliana Ebere Francis wrote this story for the New Telegraph. Thank you for coming.
Beautiful job, Juliana.
Well
Beautiful
done.
job.
This has been in partnership with the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. And we also thank Mrs. Moreni Kelmabuje, Director of Programs, WOCON, that's Women Consortium of Nigeria, who joined us earlier, as well as Rotimi Sankore. We have been live on Facebook and YouTube. What that means is that if you miss any part of the show, you can watch a replay anytime you like.
Right.
We'll be back on Monday. This is my best announcement. We'll be back on Monday. Big thanks to Tosia Kirimide, Zainab Yakin, Yvonne Ohafor for all assisting, and Tunji Andrews will be here after the news with money, business, and economy. We'll see you on Monday. We're at. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sharif Quadry.
From your #1 talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.